Assalamualaikum. So, is it true that in the 9th Supara, the last ayat of Surah Inaf, when you get to there, you have to recite it, you have to read it silently, and you have to go in sajda once?
Which one is the last verse?
The last ayat of...
Wherever it is necessary to prostrate after reading the verse, it is mentioned there. In front of the verse, you read the word sajda. It means that this is the place where you prostrate. There are so many places, not one. Why are you asking particularly about that verse? I don't know.
Because I came across it today.
Huh?
I came across it today.
I see. So the first time you noticed it?
Yeah.
Before that you have been reciting the Holy Quran, but never went into prostration.
No.
So this is the first time you noticed it?
Yeah.
There are so many others, about 14 or some, a bit more perhaps, 15 I think, that there are. Verses in the Holy Quran such as you have to prostrate there in the video. Be on guard in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please. Inside.
Assalamu alaikum. Hazur, when God sends His messenger in the world, His claim is immediately rejected by the majority, and then He and His followers are subjected to all sorts of atrocities and persecution. Now this is our claim. Now there's another sect these days in some other country which is quite well publicized, and they are also being persecuted, and perhaps for the same claim, and perhaps their followers also think that they are also on the right path. So how can a neutral observer distinguish between these two factors, and how can he reach the truth?
This question is very important and very interesting as well. And it has many aspects. Number one, the same question has been asked of me from a completely different angle. Some people wanted to know that other people than religious have been persecuted and what the world. Other movements. So what is the criteria for proof then? What is the distinctive mark of religious truth against the truth of the secular nature? Now we are asking it differently. Within the realm of religion, you want to ascertain which are the signs of truth, while apparently there is a similarity of situation between two sectors. Let's define that by the calling Baha'is. There are Baha'is in the world who are being persecuted, and so are Ahmadis. So why do we say that we have been persecuted for the sake of Allah and Allah is a sign of truth? Why can't Baha'is do the same thing and run away with it? That is the question perhaps, or anything which applies to this situation. So let's first find out the nature of the claim. And the nature of the claim also calls to mind the claimant and his personality and his character. Just the single factor of persecution is not enough to prove anything, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a factor which is present and common between religious and secular laws. So by itself it is not a distinctive feature. People have been persecuted for their crimes. People have been persecuted against their organized effort to capture some societies. Now the claim also cannot decide alone. The point is what the claim is, number one. Number two, the constancy of the claimant, whether he stood firm in his claim or wavered and was shaken after the persecution or under the influence of persecution. And thirdly, what is the outcome of that struggle against all? These three factors put together would decide to some extent. Now in case, for instance, of the Hindus as compared to others, one thing is very obvious, that the claim the founder of Baha'i, the first of Baha'is in that Baha'is, the claim that was made has been wavering and at times has been taken back and has been changed completely. So that is something which does not indicate that the source of origin will be Allah, because Allah does not falter under the influence of persecution and does not permit his prophets or his messengers to change their claims. For instance, Ahmad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been categorically told that if you diverge or make the slightest direction from your course, Allah will abandon you and you will be totally destroyed. You will have no place to step on. This is the Holy Quran's claim given the walking Quran with themselves. Not that there was a possibility of having your diet, but only to emphasize in principle that Allah's prophets never diverge and they never alter their claims. Moreover, they do not change their claims to suit the situation, to make their claims more popular. The fact is that their claims always remain to be the bitterest and challenging to the society. Once they make a claim and an opposition starts, their second claim is always more bitter and more pronounced in the same direction of offending others. While there are others who do not follow this line, once their claim is rejected and they are persecuted, they find new societies and change their claim to suit the new societies and make new regiments. Whether they are after the public house, which creates the public deed, and they want to make the rhythm of the public intentions. And for instance, like politicians, they have their fingers on the pulses of the people, and if they have made a wrong claim, then they rectify it to suit the people. Now I'll explain the first part, and I'll compare it with the second similar situation. Ahmad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made a claim to address the Meccans to begin with. As appears from the Holy Quranic scenes, that he came to threaten, to war, Quran wa the people of Mecca and those who were around. But even before that, we read mentioned what is the Anzil Ashira Takal Abadi. What Anzil Ashira Takal Abadi? You want your next of kin and close relations. Ashira Takal Abadi. So the historians, Orientalists have picked it up. They say that these inventing claims, because the first claim is narrow and shorter, the second becomes wider and is progressive. And when he goes to Medina, he begins to address the Arab class as well, the Jews and the Christians. And in in the end, he becomes the prophet of the whole world. So it is just a psychological development that we observe. This is the claim. But from the criterion which I put forward, this is not a proof of his falsehood. This is the strongest proof of his truth. Because if you study human nature more minutely and stupidly, you will find that their inference is totally wrong. If a claimant makes his false claim and then is well received and becomes popular, it is quite natural for him to step forward in the same direction and widen the claim. And if that claim is also accepted with pleasure and open arms, then naturally he should think, why not take a few steps further? But if after making the first small claim, he is beaten thoroughly in fashion and treated so ill that a man of smaller stature would may have committed suicide in such situations, then psychology demands that if it's a false man, he should not go ahead and make a more offending claim to the rest of the world and broaden the circle of human enemies by widening his claim. So here, this is the situation. In the case of a true prophet, this always is the situation. And in case of Muhammad Mustafa, this situation is highly pronounced. That what Mackens did to him did not frustrate him. It should have frustrated. But he widened his claim, and what all of now, the first, the own family members. You know what happened when he called them to a feast and told them what his claim was and why he had called them, because otherwise told him until so they all got up and became very furious, and Abdullah insulted him in very strong terms. He said, what is this nonsense? So they had his food and ran away following 5 minutes. After that, they addressed Mecca and then Wala, and then to go to Medina, and instead of making them friends, to turn them into enemies as well. And then, as if it was not enough, to make the whole world his enemy. This is not possible if the claimant was a false claimant. So, in case of Ahmadiyya, this is exactly the situation. Hazrat Wasim al-Salam never made a popular claim throughout his life. Never made a compromise. For instance, each claim he made was bitter and it widened the sphere of his enemies. There is not a single claim which one defends. For instance, he first claimed to be a Mahmoud for the Muslims, a Mahdi. And you know how often they opposed him. Then he, instead of eating his words, retrieving what he had said, he went forward and said, all right, if the Muslims were not enough enemies, why not turn the great British Empire into an enemy? And claim that the only son of your God is dead. And I am Messiah. That was the bitterest claim that one could ever make, think of, in the great British Empire, which went for converting India en masse. That was their policy. They were spending billions of rupees at that time to win over India. So that was a claim. And now 2 enemies have been made. Then he considers, all right, what about sex? They are majority around Karnam and so on. So why not turn them into enemies? So he claimed that you have no religion at all. All you have is Islam. And the founder, which you call a guru or the founder of the new religion, was just a convert from Catholic to Muslim. That influences very much. And there was a strongest community around Parliament. The largest single religion in India, which was the most powerful in there, was Hinduism. So he was not fully satisfied with that. He said, all right, let's turn them into atheism. The world is not, this is not enough for me. So he made twofold claims to antagonize both the important sects of Hinduism. Number one, Arya Samajas. They were most volatile and militant Hindus. In Punjab particularly, they were the strongest militants of any religious followers. And he claimed that you say that God is one and this is Hinduism. Allah, Asians are those who claim who believe in the unity of God and claim that this was Hinduism. So he proved them to be false. He said to us things he had taken the concept of unity of God from the Quran, while the Vedas are full of faith and idolatry and all these things. And you say that Hinduism believes in monotheism, this is totally wrong. And he said in Vietnam, he was one of the leaders of Arya Samaja. And he was murdered as prophecy back then. So that was his claim, not to ignore a strong fighter from among the people, but to further recognize. As far as other Hindus were concerned, he went on to them again. He said, look, Hindus believe you attack Islam for committing more violence. Why do you permit 11 husbands to a wife? By preaching yoga, this and that. And his attack on Hinduism on all aspects, the concept of coexistence of God and creation and all that, is so strong that for those who read his first book, Brahman India, notice from there that there was a radical start. We were going to defend Islam in all directions. But later on, when he made the claims, then he went into open debates with strong Hindu leaders, Muslims. And many books are written on this issue. So the whole of India was inflamed against him. Not at the time of Brahman India. Not a single voice was raised against him at that time. But when he started making claims, then there was not a single denomination or human being you can conceive whom he had not turned against him. Through a progressive chain of claims which went in the direction of creating hostility, not living friends. This is the important thing, as I have explained in the first instance. In the case of Bahrain, if that is the direction, then one should suspect that they are also right. But this is absolutely a different thing going to them. First, they claim that we are that I am the door through which the new reformer would appear. I just announced the coming of the new reformer. Then he started the claim that I am the God manifest, making this claim. Then when he was opposed, he took back that claim at different places and said, oh, this was not my claim. My claim is that. Then Baha'is claimed that they were part of Islam for a while. When they were treated ill at the hands of the then government of Iran and external, then they openly claimed that they were Messiah not for the Muslims, but the Messiah of Christians outside Islam, and they had come to amend Islam. And later on, the concept of Messiahhood was a compromise between Christianity and Islam. This is why it became popular in the Christian world. They started supporting the Christian belief and try to make friends there. So only if you study the history of varying claims by Baha'u'llah and by Ba'a and Baha'u'llah and the subsequent followers, that would prove that they are not consistent in their claims. We keep on varying. So that is one way of studying whether the phenomena is similar to the phenomena of prophethood that has been unfolded to us through ages past, or it differs in fundamentals. In this case, we can prove that in fact books prepared. I have become from Baha'is. So the surveys are, so I think they have come. Others are also from Iran also have made this. So this is very important. Because I think it is up to to the right understanding, we need them to be published immediately. This confusion must be removed. That Baha'is are similar to us. They are not at all, they are fundamentally different. And they are not different only to Muslim or Islam's claims, but they are different to this particular phenomenon. Prophethood has a particular phenomenon. There is no going back, no forward. It has a direction, and a set direction, and every opposition further strengthens the claim, and there is total lack of respect for the public opinion. But in Baha'ism, exactly the opposite is witnessed. But that I don't remember verbatim, so I can, what I was thinking was that Ahmadiyya views on Baha'ism should be widely published nowadays, so that people may not confuse them with us, particularly the Indians, because there is a section of Mullah are now propagating that we are not Baha'is. We are not called as Baha'is. Now, another important factor is very important. These are just academic studies, and everybody cannot enter into academic studies. There must be some open, clear sign from Allah which you can present, which makes distinction between one from the other. That is Allah's behavior to those who persecute His religion. Allah's treatment to those who persecute His people. In case of true prophets, Allah's punishment is very severe and very strong and visible and noticeable to those who continue to persecute the true followers of Allah's path. And not only that, it's foretold. In each case, there is a prophecy coming, that treatment which would be meted out by Allah to those people. And apparently there is no reason why this should happen. Because in violent persecutions and in case of persecution of false statements, this does not happen. This is exactly the situation with the Indians, the Baha'is. The persecutors of Baha'is were never punished. They flourished, they succeeded in grabbing them, they succeeded in checking them out, and they did whatever they wanted to do without any punishment from Allah, which could tell very prominently and visibly that Allah has shown His law to those who persecute His people. And there was no prophecy. In case of Ahmadiyya, not only the fundamental prophecy by the Prophet, but it's a so wide spread phenomena, so widely experienced phenomena that even there are Ahmadis individually who are persecuted and advertise them that I do this to your enemies. And it so happens. In each and every family, there will be instances where one of their forefathers who became enemies saw some signs of Allah in His closeness and nearness. This is a phenomenon totally rare. in cases of false claims. For instance, I report the Shahadat of Sardar Latif Shahid. Now, so many people are murdered every day, much more in number than those who follow Allah and accept His messengers. As far as the persecution, the intensity and the amount of persecution is concerned, in reality, those who are secular, who have no friend in God, they are murdered en masse, and nobody takes notice of them. But the religious people become pronounced because Allah has their and their persecution becomes much more pronounced than theirs. But anyway, that's not the point of discussion. The point is that while thousands or sometimes hundreds of thousands of people are murdered and persecuted, nobody is told by Allah that this program will be moved to your persecutors. Nobody makes such claims, and that does not happen either. In case of this first nature of persecution, that is religious, truly religious persecution, the phenomena is fundamentally different. There are thousands of cases in 74 where enemies were told that Allah's aid would come to them, and it came to them, and enemies were told that their enemies would be punished and their enemies were punished. And in such manner that it was for a common neutral, it was impossible to discredit that and say that it may have happened accidentally. There was no question of accidents involved. It happened systematically. And I have a collection of such cases certified by non-enemies. I think if you write about it, I think it must be lying there higher. I couldn't get all the cases, but maybe there are hundreds where I tried to get it certified by local people that these were the circumstances in which I was treated. This was the fate of those who did it. And the fate was so similar in nature and sometimes so outstanding and rare that it was the local people themselves who felt this was because of that. For instance, in Montgomery, which is your state, there was a family, small, not family, I think one single man was sleeping in the mosque when the enemy attacked the mosque, and they rolled him in the sap, that, what do you call that sap in English? Mat, straw mat. And tried to put him to put fire. In fact, they put the man on fire. And they thought he would be burned alive or strangled. So after a while he left. But you know how the fire works in sheets, wrapped up sheets. It goes along the sheets. So apparently it was burning. And although he was blistered very severely, but when they left, he was still alive, and the inner sheet had not yet caught the fire. So he survived in the grace of Allah in the tower. Now, after a month from this, there was an accident of a bus in which it was reported that no people died of accident. 9 people of a single family got burned in the accident because of the petrol which got fire. And they all belonged to the single family, and that was the family which was responsible for this. These men they belonged to a single family who tried to put him on fire, to burn him alive. And the report of accident, when I read, I was surprised. I didn't know that this was a family. I sent someone, I said, go and investigate. They must be the same people because this news is very strange. It does not normally happen. That there was a bus accident, nobody gets killed. But 9 people get burned and burned to death. And they were all of the same family. So then testimony came that the many such cases. In case of Hazrat Sajjad Sharif, now I quote a very interesting incident. When he was taken through the stone, half buried in soil, that was a time when a British engineer, chief engineer at that time, was working in Kabul. After that period of Habibullah, he wrote a book under the title of An Absolute Amin. That was the title, under An Absolute Amin. So that was a secular study, historical study of how absolute he was, what happened in his lifetime, and that. He quotes now, and the words will remind that this is exactly what he written. He says during the lifetime of that being, it so happened that there was a great mullah, who was the old mullah and highly respected man. He went to India and accepted a claimant who called himself Nelson Messiah and although he knew that he would be severely punished, he came back and from the morning side, debate was organized between him and the top ulama, and they said, this is not so very interesting, but I cut it short. We reached the end. He said, what he has, this is very significant and which relates to this discussion is this, that he said that before he was to be stoned, he told the people around that I know one thing, Allah has told me, that a great calamity is going to befall, and that will happen very soon. So I'm not afraid for myself, but I'm afraid for you. You will be terribly punished by Allah. So nobody paid heed to this. But he said that the first strange thing that happened was that half an hour after his stoning, a strange, let's say, dust storm, like a typhoon, appeared, which was totally red in color. And this was no season for dust storms. Never in the history of Kabul, a storm had appeared during that season. And then of that severity. And for it to be correct, that was also something which aided the people to believe in the words of that mullah. He used the word mullah. And they started talking. And they said that mullah must be right, he must have been a godly person, and this is the first sign that Allah has shown us. So he said it was so strong a rumor that in the palace people shook with fear. And they realized that this was great blunder they had committed. Within 7 days, according to his report, he was a neutral observer and doesn't survive years, even in this course and way. He said within 7 days, a cholera broke out, which was very severe in nature, and thousands of people began dying and with great torturous death. That cholera was so painful that, there are certain cholera in which bleeding is very severe. And the person dies in extreme anguish. So he said that was the nature of cholera. So the doors of the palace were closed. And nothing could enter the palace from then on. He said the one person responsible for the death of that mullah was Nasrullah Khan, the brother of Habibullah Khan, who was the governor of Kabul. Habibullah all the time sided with him. And Nasrullah Khan was insisted that he must go to their palace. He says even he was so strong in his hostility that in the debate, 10 mullahs out of 12 was opposing him. Ultimately, David agreed with him and said the Holy Quran and Sunnah is with the side of this mullah. the other issue. And only 2 mullahs didn't get it. Yet Rasulullah said, I have followed the verdict of 2 mullahs and not South Africa. So he showed that was the extent of his narrow-mindedness and bigotry and his austerity towards the issue. So he said he was the most terrified. He said punishment came his way in a manner which he could not conceive. He had married a wife whom he loved madly, and despite this total profit of things coming in from analytical particularly, he said even the person could not allow him to the palace. His wife suffered from that problem and died in extreme agony and anguish before his eyes. That turned him mad. And after that, he was only seen, never in the affairs of the state, he was only seen standing the whole night crying, and he had lost his mental balance. So this is what is quoted by a completely neutral observer who has no idea what kind there is and what kind the claims are. And he is not a prophet who is stoned, he is one of the martyrs. The greatest of course has been but he didn't know it. So he claims that Allah told me that this would happen, and it so happens, and in such an extraordinary manner that even a neutral observer who doesn't believe in his religion is deeply impressed and writes this story in his book, while his story is on different things. Now his book relates to different subjects, not primarily concerned with this. That is what I mean. This is an illustration that the phenomena of truth unfolded by prophets is not a very small phenomena which is circled by the narrow field. It is a widespread phenomenon. It becomes the property of every member of the community. I mean, this is scientific, an experience which is shared by hundreds of thousands of people from them. This is totally lacking in the case of wives. They don't even blame it. They don't know that this is a phenomenon in existence. So, the resemblance somewhere does not speak entirely upon the subject. There are many resemblances between truth and falsehood as well. It is for one to analyze it and make a criterion of the religious history first. And arrive at that history, understand the nature, and then apply the apparently two conflicting situations who claim the same thing, but are in conflict with each other. They should be put to the touchstone of religious history, and then you should get your answer whether this is claimed in life or that claimed in life.
Myself and some other missionaries also, they are thinking on it. And on my behalf, I am making this request to you, sir, about the approach and methods for tabligh. In your letter to me, sir, after the Bombay conference, you wrote to me that these conferences at best serve the purpose of logistic support. Unless the foot soldier is thrown into the battle or in the breach, the real occupation of country of the hearts can't take place. And then recently, when Dr. Farooq and his son met you, sir, I was there, he replied to a query from you, sir, he said that, well, these people of the West are a lost people and no tabligh could help it. You of course said that our line of approach has been wrong. And some of the missionaries have also failed in this, though young people in Germany have very much succeeded because their line of approach was more humane. And you said, sir, that you have to get interested in them, in their life, and then they would get interested in you. Mere bland, direct approach of a tabligh will not help. And you also quoted that this is why the Sahabas of Hazrat Masih Maud, because they had that line of approach, they had succeeded. So our request is, sir, if a little greater elucidation on your part about the methods and approach of tabligh, both at the individual level and a wider ramifications, sir. Thank you.
Well, it's a very wide subject. In fact, I have been speaking on this here and there on various aspects of this question. For instance, the whole of my address to the ladies in the Ramana was devoted to this particular question. And I think it was lasted about an hour and a half or so. And yet it was impossible to resolve the subject. So I think from time to time you remind me that this speak a few words now and a few words then. Because it would take me too long to discuss this whole issue at once. Now this is something which you have just mentioned. I want to explain further. When we preach to people, first of all, we must visualize the situation in which people are preaching to us. If somebody comes and knocks at your door and gives you a pamphlet telling you that you should become Buddhist or you should become Krishna, what are they called? Hare Krishna, follower and so on. What would be your reaction? If they give you a pamphlet, either you throw it away after they leave, or if you read it, can you read it and say, no, focus on nonsense and it. So, you won't listen to him, you won't pay any attention to him. He would appear to be too small, insignificant something to be able to change you and your views on religion and so on. But suppose you pick up a friendship with somebody from among the Hare Krishna people, begins to know you and loves you and loves your children and helps you from time to time and seems to be extremely interested in you. Maybe it is you yourself then who broaches upon the subject and tells him that tell me what are your views on life and the same. So this is a completely different approach from the previous one. So what I wanted them to do was to be interested in others. They will not be interested in you or your message. You try to make them interested first. This is psychologically a total failure. Why should they become interested in you? They care a bit for who you are. But if you are interested in them, because they are interested in themselves, they will find a thing of common interest. That is me, not you. So, starting from that platform, you can build up. So, it is a humanitarian approach which is highly important, fundamental. The second thing which I mentioned was logistic support. By that I meant a declaration which should be shaking and awakening, like the Holy Quran says, Al-Fire or Mal-Fire. There are things, declarations which are just shaking and they make people think and see what is happening. So, as the Qassim of the Prophet mentioned that short pamphlets, very short, which would be read in 1 second, just going and then you have nothing to do, you can read it both ways. So those types of, that type of pamphlet should be written and published in millions. Everywhere in the nation, every house should get them, and then we begin talking. And the subject we oppose should be such as should be agitating should be concerning such questions as are already agitating the minds of these people. For instance, the threat of atomic bomb, the threat of destruction of the world. If your initial pamphlets are of such a nature which already are agitating the minds of the people and they are ready to receive something on that, or in fact some of them are searching for such a thing, then that would be the ideal thing to do. Or giving you the message of the Messiah having come, but in a manner that should be awakening, it should be out of the ordinary, that should not be just in harmony with the people, in the sense that they should not take notice of it. It should be something, you should waken up and shake them up. That has to be genuinely important and seen, of course. So that is the sort of logistic support which we could give to the individual entity. But it is the individual entity who has to first play his role in the society. Unless he makes his role into the society, our teaching cannot be able. Or if very the ratio of our success as against the level which we put in would be so large that it may be 199 is wasted and just one is successful. But if you go about it sensibly and with more wisdom to us, then that ratio, the comparison can decrease and ratio can increase. Instead of being 1 to 100, maybe you gain raise to 10 to 100 and so on and so forth. But anyway, the personal contact is highly important. And one of the most important things you should bear in mind is that you become interested in people. Even when you write to them, try to make them interested in that through letters. Be interested in them. I quoted, if you remember, an incident which took place in Germany in this very, in this very field. A man from Germany once wrote to me that you say that you should preach, although I don't know my German, but I go on as I can. I keep on shifting. But unfortunately, nobody is interested. So I told him, why don't you become interested in them if they are not interested in you? Tell them that I am doing it for your sake, it's up to you. I am not interested. What should I gain by you becoming a man? The point is that I know you are restless and you are not. So that case we said, you are being restless and unhappy, are having everything that the life of what you do, still you are not satisfied. And I said, this is my first step in the way. If you peek into them, they are not. They are dissatisfied with all their achievements and they are looking for something, some content also. So tell him this. And he was, his boss in fact, he was the proprietor of the factory in which he was working. It was just a small fry of the factory. So next time he wrote to me, it was a very exciting letter. He said, I told him, I'm not really sure whether it was in his own factory he was working, but he was a big man, owner of the factory, and this was a big business. So he said that once I met him and I told him that you have not been listening to me, but this is the reason why I was listening to you. I see you are a happy man and you are not from them. And I wanted to make you happy and you are not interested in accept you. He says that after a few days, or maybe 2-3 days, he received everything call from him. And said, look here, what you said to me that day, that is the word. And I contacted your missionary in Frankfurt, and I got all the literature they have in German, and I am very seriously studying this literature now. So that is the trick. People will not be interested in you unless you are interested in them. And this is the greatest force which a prophet enjoys. Is called Rahmatul Lil Alamin. That is to say, because he was to be the prophet of the whole world, he had to love the whole world, otherwise the whole world would not pay any attention to him. It is initially your love which is worth sparing, which works wonders. If you do not get interested in others, why should they become interested in yourself? So that shows that the Muhammad Mustafa was given a nature from Allah that made him interested in the whole universe, the whole world, in insects, in life and in form. He was their benefactor and their wishes. So he overpowered the greatest amount of hostility that could be witnessed by anybody. Because of that overpowering love, which exceeded the hostility, offset the hostility. So this is highly important. The most important thing I can tell you about preaching is that you must become interested in others. And do so, not competitively, because that's impossible in the world. Bring yourself up in a manner, teach yourself, educate yourself. That you have to be interested in others, you must love your humanity and you must love your neighbors and friends. And if you look at yourself from this angle, then you realize that previously you were hypocrite and not now. Previously you would find that you had many friends, while you yourself believe that it is highly essential to believe in the Muslim of to gain favor of Allah. Yet you had your friends and you never told this. So the hypocritical phase was only this one, not the new one. Once you wake up within you and realize that what you love most, you have not been telling to the loved ones. What is that love? So the whole attitude of life will change. So those who are already interested in you or whom you are interested, there should be the first thing naturally. But as far as strangers are concerned, first get interested, truly and honestly. And then inshallah you will see a very different result from your previous effort.